Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is of particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Bogey, Michael Kahn, Sarah Griffiths, Rob H, Ben White, Maximum Gravy, Austin Whitsitt, John Kays, Tommy Swagnett, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Maris, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, theflatearthchannel.com, and David Wayne Foster. With that, I'm going to hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
For cuddles to go traveling abroad.
What?
I said, we're trying to nail down a first destination. I've never been overseas, right? I'm from the States. I'm about to have my passport. I'm going to go travel abroad. We were just talking about places.
Okay. What do you want? Tremendous beauty? Excellent entertainment? Great nightlife? What do you want?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, part of it's the beauty. Most of it is food, because I love food.
Food and beauty? Go to Portugal. That's if you want to travel far and wide and go to Europe.
Right, well, Japan was on the list, right?
Why?
Because Japan, why not? It's Japan. I like the culture.
Yeah. I travelled all over the world when I was a rep, and I came to the conclusion that the country I live in is the best country in the world.
Eh. Everybody's got different things going on right now. I can't live in a place where somebody's going to tell me I can't have guns.
Okay. I wouldn't want to live in a place where you need guns.
Bro, everywhere on Earth you need guns for something. Now, whether
Okay.
you need them daily, that's a different story. I have them. Hell, I've got one of my pistols sitting right here on the toolbox the phone's resting on. It's not going anywhere. It's just sitting there.
What's it for?
If I go hunting, I've got a backup when, if the rifle jams or if something happens, if a hog comes out, I like to go do stuff, explore the woods.
Fair enough. I mean, that's the same here. I mean, if you're a farmer or you've got a need to have a gun, then there's no reason why you can't have one here. But generally speaking, your average Joe normie doesn't have a gun here.
Right. And here, your average Joe normie does. And that's why the crime rates are low, is because people don't want to get shot. It's funny. Being shot is a deterrent for crime.
Shocking. Hey, John, you there? What with the bing bongs, I don't actually need a sound check from them. As long as it goes bing bong, I know it's working.
Hello.
Hello.
How's Clover doing?
She's all right. She's running around with me at the moment as her mum's asleep.
Excellent.
Do you want to say hello, Neil? Come here then. Say hello, Neil.
Hello,
say,
Clover.
Say a bit louder.
Hello, Nina.
Not Neela, Neil.
Neil.
Hello, Neil.
Hello, Nina.
No, not Neelo. Neil.
It is a difficult one, though. Hey, Nathan, I could be giving my name to a person, and I'll say Neil, and they'll say Leo. Okay, Leo.
Okay. I thought you were going to chat to Clover. Clearly not. Now she's
Oh,
on
I
me.
didn't know she was still on. I'm sorry. I can't see, you know.
That's all right. She'll be disappearing before the live show starts.
You know, I noticed I haven't been getting any heads up that the show's starting, not even on YouTube, nothing. No notifications, nothing.
That reminds me, I need to retitle the show. So the title of today's show is going to be Don't Look Up.
Don't look up.
Yeah. So over the Christmas period, I was, as is normally the case, advertised heavily on everything that I went on the internet to look at. And one of the things that was advertised very heavily was Don't Look Up. And after letting the advert play out, I realised that it was available on Netflix. In other words, as far as I'm concerned, it's free. So I'm like, okay, that's definitely your typical heliocentric indoctrination style program. Definitely not of interest to me. But my wife stuck it on, so I had to sit through it as it was on, and I did. And it made me view generally movies in a way that I just hadn't viewed them in a long time, which is to say, I could almost say this is pure propaganda. This is a propaganda movie. Anybody
I
seen
understand exactly what you're saying though, about propaganda.
Has anybody seen any adverts for or watched it?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I've seen an advert about it. Yeah.
Say again?
I've seen it. It's on Netflix. Yes.
You've watched the movie?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, but you've seen it advertised on Netflix, so I got you.
Yeah, once that I log in is the first option on the top.
Oh, absolutely. They want everyone to watch this. There's no two ways about that. Heavily advertised and available to all with Netflix. Yeah. They definitely want you watching it. That's the reason it got watched by my wife. So she watched something else, I can't remember what. And immediately afterwards, that was what was thrown up as, you want to watch this next, like auto-playing it. So yeah, we'll probably get into that in the show. Because obviously it's developed so much interim conversation in the pre-show, so well justified me changing the title right now.
What was you talking about?
Definitely.
I'm sorry.
Don't
Plus,
look
I'm back
up.
at work, so.
Don't look up.
Is it a space documentary?
No, Hollywood-style
That's what I
movie.
thought.
Go ahead, Neil. Tell him all about it.
I'm on mute.
It's propaganda, pure, unadulterated, heliocentric propaganda.
It's one of those the aliens are coming kind of movies.
Meteorite, comet.
Like Armageddon. Okay.
Armageddon, but the bad guy, in this case a comet, wins.
Well, that is one of the things about heliocentrism is to look at humanity like it's a virus that is killing the world. So I don't know. In their paradigm, it would be the good guy.
Well, they kind of spin it that way. So big business, the Bill Gates substitute with his very soft-spoken voice, sort of a hybrid construct of Bill Gates and who's the old Apple guy?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. It's him. He's in this as big business guy who gets very offended when he is accused of being just a businessman. But ultimately he wants to mine it, so he allows it to hit and take out the heliocentric spinning ball Earth in a sky vacuum. Because it's worth money for mobile phone technology, right? Got all those minerals on board coming from a sky vacuum that doesn't exist. But at the end of the movie, I sat down with my wife and I discussed it. I'm like, if you were actually under the impression that the sky was a vacuum and there could be rocks coming to destroy you from it, would this not leave you in fear? She was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, right. But because we aren't of that ilk, we don't view this movie and at the end lose sleep over it because it ultimately leaves you with a very real impression that things from the sky vacuum can come to kill you. Not only you, everyone around you.
What if the container collapsed?
That's propaganda for 2222.
Yeah, that's when a paradigm shifts. That'll be the worry of Hollywood under a flat Earth paradigm.
Right. It's just fear-based mind control. That's all it is.
Well, when you're afraid, you want someone to protect you. That's a natural feeling, and they're willing to step in with that protection, sort of like the mafia.
Yeah, and in the same way, you need protection from the mafia because they've come round and beaten up your staff. Well, in the same way, they've invented this paradigm where they have a boogeyman out in a sky vacuum that could come to get you at any moment, and you can be damn sure you'll need their help if it does. Well, problem, reaction, solution.
Time out. I have to defend that. You can't get away with that. That was not the mafia doing that. That was the Black Hands. The mafia came and protected the small businesses from this corrupt Black Hand that was extorting all the Italian store owners at the time.
It just happens that the mafia king owned the Black Hand.
It was true. There's some families that do that even still, and there's some that don't. They don't even get involved in that.
Okay, we weren't really discussing it for the sake of 20th century mafia politics, though. You understand that, right?
Yeah, but it does fit in with it though, because the government is our protection. That's the way they're trying to push it, right? Even now,
Right.
we need the government to protect us.
Yeah, that was the connection I was drawing until you brought it onto the connection to the mafia by comparison. So yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to put it on the Black Hand. They were the ones that were the bad guys.
You don't think the mafia were the bad guys?
People today, right? Everything that what scam numbers legal the mafia was doing that was illegal. Now it's legal, run by government. So I don't want to hear it.
What about Jimmy Hoffa? Was that legal?
Well, if he would have did what he was told, he would have lived and been fine.
Perfectly legal to me. Do what you're told or die. Sounds legit.
See, they made that lives the king, got his feet, was filled with pride. To move on, how are you able to do it? It's in every form of life.
Shout out to YouTube in the live stream that hasn't started yet. Comments. He says, "Hiya, only 363 days to Christmas." I thought it was funny, Ute. Thanks.
I give a bit of a giggle.
No, what's even worse now, Nathan? They have Valentine's Day stuff on the shelves.
Yeah. For a time, I was a delivery driver for a supermarket, and as soon as one season ends, the next season starts. So, Easter eggs start going up on the shelves. Just one long perpetual holiday, isn't it? One season of activities to the next.
Yes, and I can hear I'm delayed. So I'm back on. Try not to be a disruption.
Is his mic messing up or is my
Yeah,
speaker?
it's him. There's no point trying to. If you try and interject while he's trying to get out what he's trying to say, then you'll miss it because it'll connect the moment you try and tell him that. I think he knows.
Well, let me try again.
I kind of feel like this is an awkward silence now.
Yeah, definitely. When someone says, "I'll try that again," and then there's 15 seconds of silence.
Sorry, see, I didn't think he's heard me. But listen, I know you don't want to hear this all day.
Fair enough.
I triggered a bunch of flat earthers in the 24/7 Discord yesterday. I didn't mean to, but they got upset with me.
What were you doing in 24/7 Discord on Boxing Day? Not that I belittle anybody that's spending their time on Boxing Day in Discord servers, but...
I was working on my car, so I was just listening in. There wasn't really anything else on at the time, so I just kind of had it on in the background while I was working on the car. And
then you thought, hey, I'll pipe up while I wait for this wax to set or whatever.
Yeah, just because they kept referring to the horizon as an optical phenomenon, and I asked them, would it be correct to say it's an optical phenomenon when we can receive it in other ways than optics, and it just blew up.
Well, other than the fact that they're asserting it's a physical geometric limitation to our view that obstructs things to a value that they can ascribe as a hidden value for boats, buildings, anything that's beyond their physical geometric obstruction, Earth curve, edge, formerly known as the horizon. So when they say it's an optical limitation, well, yeah, I mean, we see it, but we're supposed to see it physically blocking things because it's supposed to be something that's seen and physical. That'll be Earth curve. again, that'll be something we get onto in the live show, asking if there's been anything developed over the festive season in regards to the curved adjacent.
Yeah, I think that one kind of does it for them. They have a geometric religion. How can they deal with that? I don't know how you would deal with that unless you're just going to deny Euclidean geometry.
No, locally flat. Locally flat's the response so far. I can't quite believe that's the rebuttal from the anti-flat earthers.
Well, that was going to be part of my response. I was going to give them a route, but it destroys geometry. I don't know if they're going to want to do it.
Theirs is a geometric claim by nature. So if it destroys geometry, they're not going to like it because their assertion is a geometric one, a physical geometric limitation to our view called Earth curve at the horizon. That's what their horizon is, a geometric Earth curve edge. It isn't. We've debunked that with the black swan.
Right, they're going to have to attack 3D Euclidean geometry if they want to hold on to a ball faith, I think.
All we've got them doing is assuming flat so that they can employ those principles and then moving their measurements to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth where they're not measuring from, so that they can then move on and justify how it would work with a curved surface, with angles to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, distant lights at infinite distances. That's what they're doing. But they're still not getting around the fact, because it's how they do it, that they need a straight flat baseline to measure an angle. So they justify it by either brushing past it and just ignoring that they've got to measure an angle at the surface with a straight line and a flat Earth. And once they've brushed past it, hope no one notices that they've already acquired the angle by measurement on a flat plane. So they just start at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and go, look, it all comes from the centre and it matches an angle on the surface. It's like, yeah, but the one on the surface is the one you measured, not the one you're assuming that now takes precedent from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth you haven't got an R value for.
Right, that's what I was saying. They could claim that it's a pseudo-Romanian and that the curvature of space-time is curving space and time at the exact rate that the angle is being taken, so that you have you could use tensor calculus to show that relationship.
Correct, but by the same token, you still, within that statement, got the matching the angle that you're taking bit. So it's not that you're getting around the fact you've got to take a straight line measurement with two straight lines meeting at a vertex. That's not getting around it. It's justifying it, isn't it? Well, it's pseudo-Riemannian for space-time bending. Well, that bend happens to match the Euclidean geometry that we actually use and measure. So it's a justification. It doesn't explain it or use a curved adjacent. It's saying my pseudo-Riemannian space-time bending matches a flat plane. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You know it's a total fail.
Well, yeah, but they're going to have to go down that road eventually and fail.
Yeah, but that isn't a road. That's a concession. I've said this a few times to them when they've offered something. It's like, that's a concession. Straight line to the horizon, that's a concession. Locally flat, that's a concession. Well, we have the Euclidean manifesting itself by way of a pseudo-Riemannian for space-time bending that happens to match. That's a concession. Match what? The flat measurement you're taking? Yeah, it's all concessions.
Well, yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's flat. You can't do nothing about that.
I love proofs like this because they creep up on you. You know, aspects of it have been detailed. You even dug out a very similar argument structure back in show 280 something and repeated it because we were having the argument, but without the premises all well and truly established in our own minds to argue. So we've got a good idea that the horizon's got something to do with the argument and where it fails, but we're not saying it with the determination and the modus tollens argument and the understanding of how it destroys the globe claim with geometry. We're asserting it, but we don't really realise how devastating what we're asserting is. And you're listening to it going, wow, you know, we were seeming to be more advanced than we were back then. But you move on, 1,500 shows, or whatever it is, 1,000 shows, and suddenly you go, no, now we're making the same argument with the same evidence structure, but not allowing the opponent to just skirt it and move on to whatever their claim is when they beg the question. It's like, no, this is the end of your argument. At this point, you lose.
Yeah, it's digging, I guess, into the presupposition, because they hold on to that presupposition at all costs. Like when you point out that you can't get an angle with a curved adjacent, they'll say, well, the ground underneath the mountain is flat. Earth under the mountain is flat. And then when you point out what they said, they go, no.
Yeah, who's claiming the ground under the mountain's curved was the question I was asked by the funder who just told me how flat it was underneath because they're measuring an angle with it. Yeah, so you need it flat then. So you point out, well, you need it flat then. You've just told me who's claiming it's curved. I've pointed out that's you. And you can't quite fathom what's going on because you're going, no. Need a straight line. I'm going to be measuring an angle. Haven't got one. It's got to be curved. So no. I've just told you it's flat and it can't be curved and asked you who's claiming it's curved. It's very painful, man, for them, this argument. More so than the Black Swan, because at least with the Black Swan they could stick their head in the sand and listen just about through the sand of the murmurings of refraction.
Right, with the Black Swan, they were throwing a measurement of theirs away, But with this, they have to throw away geometry, and like you said, their claim by its very nature is geometric. They can't do that. That's why it's so hilarious.
In this particular case, we're talking about an elevation angle, which requires a 90 degree.
Exactly. They're always going to need that elevation angle. And all they'll ever do with this argument is justify why the flat baseline required to measure the angle can work with a sphere. That's all they can do. But can work with a sphere is still a necessity to have a flat plane in the first instance. Not after the fact, in the first instance. Beautiful. And like I say, watching the propaganda that comes out that really is pushing the boat out as far as it possibly can be in terms of indoctrinating and inducing fear in the general masses about heliocentrism, reaffirm that science, that was the thing I'm going to talk about on the live show, the amount of times that they told the audience that peer review was science and we should trust the scientists, and it was phrased in a way that the scientists who are insisting that everybody should be paying attention to the peer-reviewed science, which isn't science, are being ignored. So the big government base that aren't scientists aren't listening to the peer-reviewed scientists and what they say about their maths. It's an outrage. And so obviously is you as the audience are encouraged to cheer for the good guy, who's the scientist, who's downtrodden, and nobody's listening to his peer review. Aren't you idiots? You should be listening to him. We all died because you didn't listen to the peer-reviewed mathematics. Oh, God.
Why didn't you listen to our invalid description of a phenomenon no one has ever observed?
Precisely.
What is wrong
He said it.
with
He
you?
said it. He's on his knees in his bedroom on the phone to the, I don't know, head of the White House or whatever he's talking to, going, this guy's never even heard of a heliocentric orbit. And you're like, yeah, what, this mathematics? I mean, I wasn't chuckling at the time because I was semi-engrossed in the movie because I was so fascinated with how much indoctrination there was in a Netflix movie that must have cost a fortune just by virtue of the acting quality in it. It was really good from that point of view. You've got Kate Blanchett, you've got Leonardo DiCaprio, you've got good actors to do this. And they were. You're like, why has so much effort been put into this Netflix special? Why has it been rammed down everyone's throats on Christmas when everyone's going to be watching? Offered up to every single Tom, Dick and Harry on the face of the fat plane we live on. Oh, of course, because it's ram-packed chock-a-block full of heliocentric indoctrination and moreover, more common and pushed even further in the movie was the idea that peer-reviewed science is the thing that you should cheer for as the underdog because it's being ignored by the government. Just unbelievable. At one point,
It's all because of us.
At one point, it gets pointed out by some of the White House staff, or no, one of the reporters in a TV spit that this girl's doing with the Leonardo DiCaprio scientist character, and she's on her way to getting a PhD. She's a bit younger, and she's told that this comet's named after, and you're like, that's what an astronomer does. Looks up and gives shit names. That's what they do. But she finds that slightly objectionable. Well, I don't see how that's relevant, other than it being the very title that you hold if you're an astronomer. Yep, pseudoscience.
Oh, shoot.
All right, go on, Neil.
That's right, astronamer. That's right.
I was going to put on my conspiratard hat and say maybe the reason they're going all out is a knee-jerk reaction to the newest argument.
I was waiting for someone else to say it, and lo and behold, in the short pause, it happened to be you. Oh, Riley, so such grandiose ideas about how much influence we have over the propaganda machine there, John. I thought exactly the same thing, but I have delusions of grandeur also.
So hold on. So did I. As soon as you said it, I said it's because of us. We are gaining ground. You may laugh, you may scoff, but we are gaining ground. It's not just a little corner of the internet.
I will scoff at it. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm scoffing.
I am. But I believe that this is non-stop. We've talked about it many a time. That the indoctrination cycle must be perpetual. It must continue always. It must be high level. It must be prevalent always. So the fact that we're doing something to brace against it doesn't mean that the tirade that comes our way and everybody else's way in the Western world is going to change, stop, or alter. But the fact that we can spend a live show talking about this particular piece of propaganda doesn't mean that it's new or as a result of us after assessment. Of course, at the time, I'm like, it's because of the curved adjacent arc, it's us. No. Maybe as a knee-jerk reaction, but I don't think so. Maybe.
Well, I was thinking about something. Like, what kind of torture do you think they would have to put you through? Like the guy in 1984, when they put the rats on his head to make him say, what was it, 2 + 2 is 5 or something like that? Or how much would they have to do that to somebody who knows why the earth is flat or how the earth is flat? How much of that would they have to do to them, or would it even work at that point? Did Nathan start the show?
No. Did your question kill the conversation? So I was just ushering my kids out ready for the live show, and I heard you asking an open question that I thought at least someone would respond to about how much torture you'd have to be put under. But nobody answered. Okay.
Well, I was just wondering, because Winston he knew the truth about the government at that point in time, and he hated it for what it done. But by the end of the book, I hope I'm not ruining 1984 for anybody out there that hasn't read it. But by the end of it, he had, accepted that he loved the government. Like, I wonder if there is any kind of psychological manipulation that could be done to a flat earther who knows why or how it's flat, not why, but how it's flat. Could you delete that like Cypher wanted done in the Matrix?
No.
It's called a reprogram.
Well, no, we've already reprogrammed ourselves as flat earthers because we were programmed as heliocentrists. that's why I'm asking. You know, just like Winston was part of the party, and then he reprogrammed as in his own mind a freedom fighter, and then they tortured him back into the party. I wonder if it'll ever, you know, if that's even a plausible route for
I don't think
people
so. Yeah, I don't think you can unscramble scrambled eggs. Or maybe you can. Who knows? I love these open questions that you answer and nobody answers. Wonderful.
Well, I wonder if it's like if there is any way back for these anti-flat earthers, you know, because they desperately want to get back to where they were, but they like, is there any hope for them? I don't think there is what I'm getting at.
There's always,
There's always
hope.
hope.
Hello. Go ahead, Righteous. Hey, Arwen.
I was just saying the same thing you said. Hey.
Say again?
I said I was saying the exact same thing you were saying, and then I said hello.
Oh, hello.
So you think there's hope for them to know it's a sphere again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's why they're here. That's what they are. That's all they represent.
So they're only here because they have hope to know it's a sphere again.
Precisely.
But
that's what makes an anti-flat earther an anti-flat earther.
Right, but that we know there is no hope for them.
Right. We know that.
That's what I'm saying. So then there is no hope for them.
Oh my God. Do you think that there's some grain of empathy left from my perspective towards them? In other words, do I have hope for them in their hope towards the sphere? Oh, I don't care. So I didn't realise you were trying to relate that back to us and our hope for them. Oh, I've got no time to even concern myself with my hope levels for whether or not they'll get there way back up the hill to the normie land of sphere belief. They'll never get there. I know how steep that hill is for them. Having fallen
I have
down
hope
it.
that they.
Go on.
I hope that they make it in the sea.
Oh, aren't you nice?
Well, see, I don't really have hope for them getting back to that. I hope they accept reality for what it is what I hope for them.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Speaking of Patreons, I've already shouted that in the pre-show, so I'm just going to hand over to whoever is in Discord and G+, which is Refracted Curvature, Neil, Eli, Arwin, and as I say, a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, you enthusiastic lot. Has there been any development over the festive periods of I don't know, rebuttal development, shall we call it, from the opposing side in regards to the curved adjacent and acquisition of an elevation angle? Tap, tap, tap. Is this thing on? Any evidence you can have a curved adjacent whilst acquiring an elevation angle?
No, not a chance. I don't think Santa would even claim that.
Can you argue that
Well, the-
curve is straight?
Well, they used to claim curved is straight, but then it doesn't work out when you're measuring an elevation angle. That's the point. So bendy's horizontal won't cut it in this argument, unfortunately for them. They do actually need it to be straight.
Well, the earth under the mountain is flat.
That's a concession.
So, well, that's like saying my house on a hill is on a flat spot. Right?
Not on a sphere. There are no flat spots.
Yeah, no, I can't even do it. That was like the worst argument ever. It was hilarious, though, hearing somebody that believes they're on a ball tell you about how flat the earth is.
I mean, that's the crux of the main part of the argument. So any evidence of physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curve?
Now they're too
Not
preoccupied
since the
with
Black Swan.
the sextant now.
They're too preoccupied with the horizon being a straight line assertion tool to worry about the physical geometric nature of it as a sphere edge, called Earth curve.
Well, they still will just say the sextant is a globe instrument, and that's about it. That's as far as they can get. After that point, it just all goes to hell. Because as soon as you try to make them explain how, they just lose it very quickly.
Well, they need a flat plane. So they can't explain how unless they are measuring an angle from a curved adjacent, which comes back to the first housekeeping question.
Yeah, you got to ask them how to use the sextant. Let them take you through how they use the sextant.
Since Alberuni measured the mountain presupposing a flat Earth, does that make him the first anti-flat earther?
I don't even know if the guy even existed.
And I don't even know that if the guy would have existed, whether he was even realizing what he was doing. He might have just been tasked, like, yeah, go measure that. I don't know if he even cared whether the Earth was a globe or flat or anything. Might just be doing a task, that's all.
I'm pretty sure he was concerned with Earth being a sphere when he derived data by way of a dip angle measurement to a physically assumed to be Earth curve horizon at Arwen. I'm pretty sure that measuring the height of the mountain off the flat plane was also something that he's claimed to do, regardless of his existence or not.
But did he write about that? Or is that just being said about him and what he did?
It's just being said about him. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference to the narrative. The narrative on stage, if you want to have the whole all the world's a stage premise behind this assertion, makes no difference. What's being presented on the stage, regardless of it being done by way of a narrative, script, story actor, character, doesn't matter. They're saying derivation of R was by way of dip correction. They expand it out beyond the narrative of this individual who may or may not have existed, and it's irrelevant to the point we're making.
Right.
The horizon's not Earth curve. You can't derive an R value from a geometric physical limitation to your view called Earth curve if the horizon's not Earth curve, and we've debunked it as Earth curve. Furthermore, when you're using a sextant, you're ascertaining a horizontal plane. So that's what you're doing in reality, and regardless of your justification for measuring angles with straight lines and flat planes as being then moved to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, yeah, it doesn't change the fact that you're going to have a flat plane to measure these angles. So you're never going to get around this, globe believers. It's the end of the road it was with the Black Swan for your argument of Earth being a sphere. Now we're demonstrating to you how it can only be flat. Can only be flat. Justifications for how you can beg the question after measuring angles off a flat plane won't cut the mustard. we've already debunked your R value that you're going to try and justify how it can work with your assumed R value we debunked in 2020. So it really is end of the road if you're a sphere believer and you're here in this corner of the internet, limited though it may be in terms of its publications and popularity.
I wonder how many angles are in the sphere.
None if you're
0.
measuring at the surface. Can't get elevation angles off a curved adjacent.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't straight lines almost a necessity to measure angles?
Yeah, that's right. It's two straight lines.
Almost. No,
I mean,
you
like, you
say
need
fully.
straight lines. No?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. That's where the problem lies for their assertion as one of the lines, the baseline, the thing you're utilising for an elevation angle when you're measuring comparative angles, is flat and straight because it's being used for the angle.
I mean, it's
Earth
really
is
not
flat.
that hard to understand.
Say again, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you explained it very well. It's really not that hard to understand.
Agreed. Earth is obviously, observably, measurably and navigatably flat. Shout out to Rune Thornton, who's joined as a member for 2 months. Says, all the world's a stage. It's not a paranoid vision. Thank you very much for the
Is there document?
super chat or
Sorry.
sentiment, Rune. It's okay. Go ahead.
Is there a documentation in Al-Biruni's records of how he established the height for his observation? Like, was sea level a thing back then? I'm just not sure.
He used a flat plane to acquire the elevation angle to do the trig to get the height of the mountain. Earth was flat when he measured that height to derive R.
Right. But was sea level a thing? Like, I don't know, was sea level being used at all back then? Like,
Yeah, that's what you
did that
compare.
have any relevance to their use of their tools back then?
Yeah, as soon as you're invoking it, as soon as you say elevation angle.
Roger.
Should we move on? Anybody else got any comments? So no further rebuttals other than the one we discussed in the pre-show, which is locally flat.
How did he figure the elevation angle for a mountain back then?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, how does he determine his proper elevation? What did he measure that with?
Doesn't matter. It literally makes no difference. He did measure it flat. Regardless of how they can expand out how he got the elevation angle for the flat plane he needs to measure this angle to get the height. Yeah, still the main crux of the argument is
Gotcha.
separate.
It's redundant, but I was just
redundant.
curiosity.
It might be part of the narrative. They might be able to expand on just how he established just how flat it was under that mountain when he measured its height with two straight lines meeting at a vertex. That would be an angle that needs a flat plane for him to do that. That might be an interesting expansion on the narrative of the flat plane that he used when he got his elevation angle. That'll be a straight flat line proving Earth is flat, though. So it's kind of interesting, but not necessarily useful for me, personally.
In other words,
Thanks, Neil.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
I don't know. We should ask people that are susceptible to motion sickness.
No, you need R for that.
You would think they'd be throwing up all day long.
Bullets and footballs deviate, but drones and airplanes don't, for some reason.
Yeah, it all must deviate. Go ahead, John.
As far as the Coriolis argument goes, just because, even if we accepted that things deviated, that's only showing two reference frames. Then you have to determine which one's the non-inertial and which one's the inertial at that point. But, you're still begging the question of an axis and a radial value. Like, if you just accept that, hold on a minute. Never mind, my kid's going crazy.
Yeah, you're going to need an axis and you're going to need an R value. Any evidence of Earth radius, the R value itself?
Nah, Black Swan debunked it.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Gonna need R for that.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? We'll come back to this question when we get into Don't Look Up.
No, no, and no.
No, no, and no. We're not going to talk about Don't Look Up. Oh, well, that's kind of what I got planned for the show, but there we go. Fair enough. No, no, and no.
Are we done with the questions?
Not scientific, no.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating... Go.
I wanted to go back to that mountain height thing again, but go on, finish.
No, go ahead. What did you want to... About Al-Biruni measuring the height of the mountain?
I think it's interesting how we understand how the sextant and things work. We have a better understanding of the holes in their argument and how it doesn't add up. Like the mountain height being another one now. Because that's like another mystery. I'm like, wait a second. They didn't just assume the baseline, they also assumed the height, and it's like it keeps kind of going. It's like holes after holes. It's like you keep poking through that paper mache analogy you used to use before, remember? And then you find out there's like really nothing there. It was all smoke and mirrors.
Not my analogy, it was Wakey Wakey's when he still had a channel.
Oh,
Mark
yeah.
Knight, his name is, but Wakey Wakey described the Earth as a papier-mâché ball that from a distance looks really solid. You know, metaphorically, it's the model in your mind is this papier-mâché ball, but when you get up close to it, you go to touch it and your finger goes straight through the paper. And then you go, wow, it's paper thin. So you put your eyeball up to it, and what do you know? Someone on the other side's looking straight through back at you going, wow, there's nothing inside this.
Right. And it just comes from just looking closer at how things work. Like this dip correction thing is kind of new to me too right now, even though you guys have been talking about sextant and such for a while. But yeah, the more the pieces fall in, the more you see clearly that paper mache analogy. So yeah, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, oh wow, that's so weak. The I guess opponent's position, or the so-called, let's say the mainstream narrative. Say that.
It's hard to
Yeah, but
deny the flatness,
they
man.
needed an elevation angle. For him to establish the height of the mountain, he needed to have what we're talking about, the elevation angle. To achieve that, he needs to have a flat adjacent, which is a straight line to the 90-degree foot of the mountain. So he established the elevation angle, exactly what we're talking about. So in order to achieve that, you cannot have a curved adjacent.
I think we covered all the housekeeping questions, did we not? Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
Negative.
Tried it, didn't work.
Nope.
Okay.
You tried it. How did you do that?
Tried to have gas pressure without a container?
Yeah, one guy said if I clapped my hands. That was me creating gas pressure without the container.
Yeah, but it dissipated immediately.
Yeah.
Right, that's a demonstration of entropy then. Okay, lovely. So we have this thing called entropy, which would be the motion in this instance of high pressure to low pressure, gas expanding to fill whatever volume it's got to fill. It's a law of nature. Now, over Christmas, both myself and I assume everybody else who has Netflix or YouTube or any other outlet that advertises will have been encouraged to watch Don't Look Up. And as it was offered to anybody who had Netflix as the first thing suggested over Christmas, I'm pretty sure quite a few people will have watched this propaganda heliocentric movie over the Christmas period. So now that there's a few more people here, is there anybody else that didn't just join in the preamble discussion in the pre-show about this that has seen it?
What?
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys saw it too.
Say again, Mr. Palmer.
Said, yeah, I watched it, and I'm glad some of you guys saw it too, because it was absolutely hilarious.
Well, it depends on how you view hilarity, but so far, actually, you're the only person on the panel that's seen it, unless anybody else pipes up. So it'll be you and me chatting about this, Palmer, if that's okay.
Yeah, I posted a video right away of Leonardo's scientific method.
I'd mentioned that in the pre-show.
Yeah.
So it was stressed to the audience that Leonardo DiCaprio's the scientist, and as the underdog that is being ignored by big government, he should be listened to, and we should cheer for him as he tells government that they're not listening to the peer review.
Oh, it was that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I seen it advertised.
Of course you have.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
the
it's brilliant
climate
'cause there's
disaster
a-
meteor movie thing?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of that. Looks
Wait,
interesting.
what? The Don't Look Up?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't Look Up is the name of this show,
Yeah.
because that's what we're going to be talking about, hopefully, for the majority of the show. So it's
Now,
a proper...
I was
I
refer-
haven't seen
I was
it, but
referring
correct me if
to.
I'm wrong.
Sorry, I was
since you
referring to the
did.
scene.
Okay, guys who haven't
This-
heard it or watched it, Mr. Palmer has. So no offense, but I want to hear him talk about it with me. So
No
yeah,
worries. I was.
we've all. Let's
I
just
was
get it out of the way, Palmer. Hold on. We know everyone's seen adverts. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because everyone will have seen adverts, because they wanted everyone to watch it, because it's a propaganda movie about space and the heliocentric model, very specifically, and noted in the script specifically. So that's why, someone who's actually watched it's more useful. No offense to everyone else who's just seen an advert and understands there's a meteor movie called Don't Look Up that they definitely want us all watching, and it was the first choice for everyone over Christmas on Netflix. Okay, Mr. Palmer, go ahead, hopefully.
Thank you. Yes, I was referring to the one scene where Leonardo's he's standing in front of a computer screen typing back to trolls, I guess, and he goes, "It's called the scientific method, and it's the reason you can type on your computer right now."
When he said that, when he said that, I asked my wife, "How do I screen cap this? How do I take?" Because I don't use my PC typically for anything other than broadcasting, and I don't really know how to use it. So I was like, "How can I snatch that?" Because that is literally the idea, the premise that they want to use against us here in this arena. Science is the reason you have a computer. No, it isn't. That's technology. Absolutely sod all to do with science, which is the establishment of cause and effect by way of systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. A computer isn't that. But they want you to believe that the consensus-driven technology and mathematics departments are science. And that's what Leonardo literally says.
Hilarious.
I just put the clip for you in main chat. I snipped that clip.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I could kiss you. Oh, can someone post it into Discord?
All right.
Thank you, Righteous. So hopefully the audience will get to hear this. Okay, so you'll get to hear Leonardo DiCaprio's quote rather than me trying to parrot it verbatim.
You want to post it into Skype, right?
Yeah, it's going to go into Skype.
Right.
Hopefully Righteous is on the case. But you'll get to hear it as an audience member in a moment when we get to that. But in the meantime, moreover, this particular film is purely designed to indoctrinate the masses into the premise that we talk about daily, which is that science has been hijacked to give you the impression that people who name lights in the sky are actually giving you information that should be held up in the highest possible regard. And when it isn't, the damn government who ignore the peer-reviewed science and maths, they need to be told, you need to listen to the heliocentric mathematicians, or we'll die. The consequences of not reifying the mathematics is death. You understand? Feeble person in a soup of nothing expanding into ever-infinite vastness. Yeah? You could all die at any time if you don't listen to peer-reviewed mathematics. I mean science, which is what they call it in this movie.
So you mean to tell me that they said
I
that
can't wait
about the
to watch
computers?
this evening.
Arwen, go ahead, Neil.
They said that that's the reason why you're using your computer, and you want me to believe that we're not being heard, Nathan? Are you serious?
It's just too quiet. Hold on a second. I'll see if I can play the clip again and boost the volume by about 1 bazillion %.
Called the scientific method, and it is what created the computer. And you're typing your half-baked conspiracy theories on. It's called the scientific method, and it is what created the computer. And you're typing your half-baked conspiracy theories on.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Terrible recording,
They
but
put
thank
the-
you. I'm glad enough that it's on the show. So yeah, hopefully you could make that out because it was recorded with a phone off a telly. But good enough for me. I'm glad you've done it. Thank you for sharing it. Who was it that shared that? Mr. Palmer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so he's basically saying the scientific method's the reason you've got the computer, in a nutshell. Go on, Neil. Sorry.
No,
Well, I
they
just like the
added
fact that he's.
conspiracy. They added conspiracy in that too. So now everything that you hear about flat Earth is going to be pushed as a conspiracy. Okay, I got it.
Wait a second. Doesn't science like lead to technological breakthroughs? So like scientific knowledge, like technology is built upon scientific knowledge, scientific laws, no?
Is it?
Like, well, the information we get from scientific laws and scientific knowledge, we can use that to.
Don't expose yourself as not understanding. Scientific laws, there is no such animal.
Right. Okay. But you know what I'm saying, right?
No.
Summarize it.
You're saying occasionally a scientific discovery will lead to advancements in technology. Yes. When I rephrase what you are driving at, I can say in certain circumstances, something that has been established as the cause of an effect in nature can go on to advance technology. So, yeah, in that regard, but it still isn't science. Makes no difference that the discovery has led to your technological advancement through what do they do? Troubleshooting. That's not science. Even if you've got some technology that's based on science. Doesn't make the technology science. There's nothing in a computer that's scientific. It's not a science instrument. Because science is a methodology for establishing cause and effect. It's like, where does a computer fit into that? What cause and effect relationship established through hypothesis-based experimentation led to a computer? You tell me.
All right, maybe I'm not sure about the computer one. There might be not. I haven't looked into it, but I know there were examples for like, steam and pressure related to like, the steam engine technology. So in that
Well,
sense,
how
you would
about
be right if it would apply it. If it would apply it to the steam engine, it would have been for sure right. But for the computer, I'm not sure if he's right.
Okay, but
how about
even
electricity?
Still, hold on. Even still, if you say because you can establish that heating water turns it to steam, and that the steam itself has an increased pressure based on the volume of the container, so you utilize the understanding via science of pressure and containment, and water boiling, and let's throw in something else, Boyle's law. So you're utilizing all of these laws and these scientific understandings to advance your technology known as a steam engine. So that's still technology, and if somebody was to quiz you on how you arrived at that technology, you could say, I understood the scientific principle of pressure and containment and applied it here to this piece of technology, and that would be accurate. But it's a loose connection at best when you're talking about the development of the technology that drives the wheels on the rails. That's technology only.
Right. Right. So there's like a little fine line there where people try to like blur it and like flip it around kind of thing.
That's the only thing that's being done, and that's what we're highlighting. The transposition in the mind's eye of the viewer from established cause and effect, that would be empirical scientific methodology. Empirical meaning proven, versus heliocentric mathematical derivations. Definitely not science. Or rocket ships travelling to a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. Definitely not science. Science fiction, in fact.
Well, what I was going to say is that science can lead to breakthroughs in technology, but that does not make science technology. I think that's the best way to say it, because the transistor was discovered through scientific inquiry, but that doesn't.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I just thought I heard him say that science or scientific breakthrough led to the building of a computer. That's what I thought I heard him say. So it can lead to technology, but I don't know. Maybe we should play that clip again to hear what he's exactly saying again.
That the
Or did we play
scientific
it too many
method is
times
the
already?
reason I've got this computer that I'm talking to you on. That's what he says. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he's saying. The scientific method is the reason for the computer. No, it isn't.
Is virtue
Now let's
signaling
say
to Dr. Becky?
let's say there was something in science that was used to apply to the computer, like something in the scientific method. Like let's say it was, I don't know. Let's just say it was something, and it did lead to computer technology. Wouldn't it then make sense what he said?
No, because he's ascribing it directly to the computer itself, which is technology. Science and technology are very different things. However, for the pseudo-scientist who has no empiricism, they want it to be the empirical, methodology-based scientific assertion when they say science. They aren't. They're pseudoscience. Now, in this instance, by asserting that the scientific method has led to the computer, it's the reason I've got this computer in front of me, is what he says. It's just the black magic trick utilised to make people think that an assertion coming from a technology or pseudoscience standpoint is actually empirical. Therefore, what he is implying to the person he's mouthing out these words to, even though he's typing on a person, just to a person that's not in front of him, there's a million miles of fibre between him and the person he's actually talking to, when he's typing out those words. But the inference is, this science that I'm peddling, no, it's not, it's mathematical heliocentric pseudoscience, this science that I'm peddling is the very reason you've got this computer. So you better take my science seriously. If it wasn't for my science, we wouldn't have this computer. Well, no. If it wasn't
So
for the technology, we wouldn't have the computer. Yeah? If it wasn't for maths, we wouldn't have the computer. But not because of science. But the only bit in those list of three things that has any empiricism is science. So therefore, the hard work and troubleshooting that goes into building a computer, well, that's hard work, right? And it resulted in this amazing machine, right? Well, you better damn well respect it as science then. Why? Well, because it's empirical. Look, it's crunching its ones and zeros empirically. Yeah? Garbage in, garbage out. It just does it correctly everything. And if you're an idiot, it's an idiot. So that doesn't make it wrong. It's always right. So therefore empirical, therefore science. Well, no. Everybody who's in the Western world education system understands science to be an empirical methodology of establishing cause. And empiricism is what you get at the end of the experiment stage. So therefore, empiricism is what's implied when you use that word. And they want that power. They want the power and people to know that when they're saying, I'm a scientist and I say we better chase this meteor, if you don't listen to me, we could all die as a result. That's how serious and how much attention you should pay and credence should be given to what I say as a scientist when I'm actually peddling heliocentric mathematics, violations in natural law, and absolutely zero adherence to the scientific method in reality. But you better take me seriously or you'll all die is the notion of this Don't Look Up movie.
I think I found out what's going on, kind of. It's like a bait and switch. It's like, let's use the steam engine technology, like the science of boiling water, Boyle's law, and all that, and we build a steam engine, and we say that's due to like the scientific discovery of all that. But then the bait and switch comes when they apply it to something that isn't a science question, right? What is question. So I think kind of that's what's probably what's going on in a sense.
No. It's more simple. If you want people to take you seriously, say science after something that you're asserting as fact. So if you're asserting a mathematical equation that's an abstract description with language as a fact in reality, then you need something to back that up and make it seem more dramatic. And science achieves that quite nicely because we all understood when we were taught how the method offers empiricism. So if you've got that left locked in the back of your mind from your education that science means it's proven, which it does, and then someone offers something that definitely isn't proven at all, it's a description in maths, but they say science, you'll go, oh, so it's proven. Your description in maths is proven then in physical reality. That's the bait and switch. That's the trick. Get you to believe that just so stories and maths and abstract descriptions are actually physical reality with empiricism behind them, and they're not. Anyway, it would have been a painful movie to watch as a heliocentrist, because if you're watching it as a heliocentrist, you genuinely believe there's a sky vacuum, and you genuinely believe that those rocks could come from there through the virtue of heliocentric motion, leading them onto a calculable collision path with us, leading to inevitable disaster and the wiping out of humanity in total. So, well, that's terrifying if you're a heliocentrist. For me, I find it truly laughable. But if you're under the kibosh of a heliocentric religion, then that kind of propaganda is going to be very, very effective. You know, it will terrify you. And that's the best weapon they have in terms of keeping control of people. Fear is the best tool in their arsenal by a million miles. As we're talking movies, that's one of the things that Neo gets a lecture by Smith about in terms of what's keeping him going, what drives him, what motivates him. Fear is what motivates Neo, according to Agent Smith. Do we all know why? Do we all understand the principle that they're employing in terms of our primeval instincts when it comes to survival and sex, reproduction, death and sex? Anybody ever heard of the sex cell? Everyone must have heard of that term. Sex cells, right? You all heard that?
Of course.
Right. Well, there's a flip side to the coin. The death cell. Equally effective. Well, this particular movie is working on that particular part of subliminal programming. The death cell. For more information on the death cell, check out Reality in Truth YouTube channel by host Nathan Bell. He's made a series of subliminal documentaries in terms of this. There's even a handbook that he refers to in terms of training people on how to utilise this in advertising. And if you don't think you're being sold to when you get something like a movie that's of a big budget with big Hollywood actors and big dramatic effects, great sound, great visual appeal, not a terrible script, offered to you on Christmas Day for free as a new movie, advertised everywhere. It's like, I wonder why. Yeah, you're the product in this. That's why you're being sold something. In this case, the heliocentric religion. So no one else saw this? Just me and Mr. Palmer?
I'm gonna watch it this afternoon. Yeah, can't wait. It looks very interesting.
It even had a reasonable degree of ongoing humour. For example, right, nothing to do with the propaganda or the subcontexts or any of that. Just an ongoing gag that I thought was quite good. Was right at the beginning of the movie, they go to the White House and there's this high-level general there. And he basically says, you want some snacks? And he's like, oh, it'll be $1 for this and $1 for that. And, you know, goes and gets some snacks, takes the money off him and then excuses himself. No big deal. Later on, 5 minutes later, she walks into a room where there's a woman in the kitchen sat there eating a bag of crisps and having a cup of coffee. And she asks her, where do I pay for the snacks? And she's like, it's the White House, everything's free. So she goes back into the other people and she's like, the general charged us for the snacks. Why did he charge us? I don't get it. It makes no sense. He's rich. He's working in the White House. Why would he need to charge us for the snacks? So throughout the entire movie, this woman, she just can't fathom it. Why did he charge us? They were free. And it's like, to me, it's like, what it says is, the people who are in charge, literally, close any kids' ears listening, they want to piss directly into your face and laugh as they do it, right? That's what that represents. He's pissing straight in the face and then laughing afterwards. Yeah, I'll have to watch it again to get some of the more interesting, subtle stuff that was, less overt than the, surface level context, which we've discussed so far. Surface level context being Earth's a sphere, sky's a vacuum, there's stuff that's scary that could come from us, and we're pretty insignificant, and we're all going to die. Unless we listen to pseudoscience, mathematics, and technology-based assertions from Leonardo DiCaprio, who represents astrophysicists and astronomers.
See, what I thought about it was that, I didn't see it, but what I thought was, you have the people who are, what's the word, oblivious, and that is the one part that's true. Like, just the obliviousness of people, and actually, people really don't care. That's the funny part about all this. They don't care until they're talking to us and we're questioning their beliefs. That's when they care.
Yeah,
But
then
they
feel
don't
compelled
care.
to share their pain with us. Go on, sorry.
No, that was all pretty much. It's just ironic.
But yeah, you want to carry on in norminess, but what the distinction you're drawing there is their concern is when they become an anti-flat earther, and then they need to share their pain with us. But prior to that, they're on the top of the hill of norminess, just getting on with their everyday life, and whether or not Earth's a sphere isn't even considered. But when people tell you that, well, I don't give it any thought, it's like, no, but you are continually bombarded with heliocentric propaganda. It's everywhere, always. It's a massive lie, so you've got to prop it up continually. Now, because it's propped up in every movie, in every single advert, in every single TV show, in the language you use, it's so deep in terms of the societal level indoctrination that it's prevalent always and therefore goes unnoticed. Because it's just part of life. So you end up with a situation where people are completely apathetic to it. But until you challenge it, correct? Because then they're forced to roll down a massive steep hill and end up at a ravine at the bottom, surrounded by people going, yeah, that's a load of old nonsense. And then you've got two choices. Try and scramble back up the hill, back up to norminess, metaphorical equivalent of throwing up the red pill, which you can't do. You can't see what you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unscramble scrambled eggs. Once you're down here, that's it. So then you've got to either face your pain or face reality. Most of them that are on the anti-flat earth side live in hope, as we discussed in the pre-show, that they'll get back up that hill to normie land, where they say, oh, who cares? It doesn't matter. We just know we're on a sphere. It's all been worked out for me. I don't need to concern myself with it. I can get on with my day worrying about my Big Mac.
Well, there's actually a treatment for anti-flat earthers, and I'm willing to give out the cure if they're willing to pay me $20,000 and a waiver. I will administer the treatment.
Sounds sinister. Tell me more.
Well, it's quite simple, really. You take a hammer and you strike the part of the brain that controls all your cognitive functions, and you don't have to worry about it.
I see. So just permanent brain damage will save you from being a flat earther if you want to take reality into consideration. Just smash your brains in and then you can be a zombie in globe normie land, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that might be the best cure we have at the moment for the anti-flat earthers.
I think you'll find that would be the only cure, given that, hope springing eternal in the mind of an anti-flat earther and us not, well, me, I'll speak for myself, not caring or hoping that they'll scramble back up that hill to normie globe belief. There's no cure. Once you're down here with us in your personal hell. For us, not exactly paradise, because unfortunately we've got to deal with you. Paradise, but for the fact that we've got you miserable bastards surrounding us.
Yeah, the conversations are better with flat earthers. The globe people the anti-flat earthers just want to like wedge in the globe any chance they can. That's all they're concerned with.
Can I ask
Exactly.
a question?
Go ahead, Neil.
So you don't think that the advancement that this argument has been taking, that has nothing to do with the constant pumping out of movies like this that you're talking about? I'm not saying that they haven't been coming out with them before, but I think they ramped up the game a little bit.
I think since 2015, our presence has probably been introduced by the narrative operator, if you want to call it. Whoever's pulling the strings has allowed this discourse to take place. So, from that respect, us bracing against it and feeling like we're gaining ground when we're in a completely controlled environment, it's like you being in a fish tank, thinking that you're winning the battle because you've pushed along the sediment that's been chucked in. Yeah, we're winning this battle. Look, no. You've only got the sediment to push around because someone poured it in there. We've only got this information because it was tolerable on YouTube for a period, and then it was overtly described to the public as being censored. So you're like, okay, this is clearly part of a bigger plan in that regard. So within that structure, you might delude yourself into thinking that you're making ground, but you're making ground in a fish tank where you're pushing around the sediment that the owner of the fish tank's poured in. That content that you're now thinking you're making ground with.
I got you.
That's why you lose all empathy for the opponents in the anti-flat earth side. And in terms of the people who come across this information, we're describing the pain that will be induced by falling down the hill. Now, that's not to say that I don't stand by it being paradise, but for the fact that we've got a lot of miserable sods around us. The wonder and joy of the world I now inhabit is considerably better than the world I inhabited with many of the same questions, looking up at as the shows don't look up, looking up at the stars as a heliocentrist, and filled with wonder. Now, that same wonder has been amplified as a flat earther. Well, doesn't necessarily mean that the other people who tumble down that hill don't just end up in agony with broken bones, screaming at us. They're projecting their pain directly onto us. So yeah, I don't know about the title. Anybody got any comment on that? Don't Look Up. So the party political aspect of the movie was to chant the opposite. The scientists, who are actually pseudoscientists and definitely not doing any scientific methodology-based assertions to give them empiricism, they're saying, look up. And the government wing, who are hoping to mine this comet, are saying, don't look up. Just look forward, look down at your phone. So, any comment on the title of the movie? Yes, Nathan, we think we should all be looking up and wondering in amazement.
It's a sign of the times. Nobody's looking up. All looking down in their mobiles. That's what people do now.
But if you do look up, remember the importance of the peer-reviewed heliocentric scientists, in quotes.
I don't know. I'd be too distracted by all the chemtrails hanging around and all that first.
It's a fair point.
Well, that's all heliocentrists do is look up. Their entire religion is based on a sky radius that they assert the ground, to the ground. So that's all they do is look up. They never want to look at it.
That's not true. That's not true. All they do is look down on a piece of paper or on their computer where they calculate these things that they assume. They don't actually look up. They haven't really looked up since Copernicus, when they still kind of had to size it all up, the lights. After that's just all on paper. They're all looking down, all of them.
And could
So
I
those
just add
huge
that even Copernicus wasn't that interested in observations? Sorry.
Say again, Fleric.
Oh yeah, thanks, Nathan. I was just I'm hearing me twice for some reason. Oh yeah, perfect. So I was just saying that even Copernicus wasn't interested in doing observations. He was already in the math.
Gotcha. So he's
There you go.
justifying former observations and cyclical patterns and etc.
Yeah.
Right. And you end up looking down to a piece of paper back then and now a computer or a mobile. Nobody's looking up. We're all just looking at their screen.
Yeah.
Well, now they build their telescopes to look at sheets of paper.
No, but you look down at the footage the supposed telescope has to offer through your computer. So you're still not looking up.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Either way, the sentiment is when you are looking up, remember you're looking at a sky vacuum. Remember it's infinitely vast. Remember there could be stuff coming from the Oort cloud that could kill you. All this nonsense is heliocentric rhetoric. All of
The solar radiation. Oh, the solar radiation, Nathan, so dangerous. If it wasn't for Earth's magnetic field caused by the molten iron core, we would all be in a microwave or something like that. Whatever.
Well, wait a second.
Go on,
They're
Rogers.
usually telling us not to look up. Remember, like during eclipse, they say don't look up. They're just telling us to look at the screen, really. So we're always looking down in a sense. Because if we really look outside with our own eyes, we can kind of see things a bit for what they really are. The sun's moving, and the moon looks pretty close, right?
Yeah, but the
But when
premise
you
of the
look at it through the lens, when you look at the lens through the TV, then you like see things a little differently. It's like, oh, we're moving.
Sure,
The
but
moon's
that's
really
where they're
far
making the
away.
connection in the movie. So at the beginning of the movie, the female lead character has discovered a comet, and then they go to the heliocentric mathematics and calculate that it's going to impact. Now you need that transition in the mind's eye of the audience, i.e., the mathematics we assert with a heliocentric worldview is directly, plausibly connected to an impact from the sky vacuum we've invented. Here's it playing out in the screen in the TV. You know, that's where you see this played out. The scientist, in quotes, says if we don't do something, the heliocentric mathematics says we're all going to die. And what do you know? In the plot of the film, they all die because they don't listen to the scientist, in quotes, and his heliocentric mathematical reifications. So yeah, firmly cements the idea that the heliocentric, obviously proven it's science that's being asserted, needs a lot of credence lending. And look at what happens when we don't lend it the credence it deserves. Everybody dies. So the overall message is make sure you listen to your heliocentric scientist, when he tells you about the maths, physics of the heliocentric world, because it could kill you if you don't. For me, it doesn't have that effect. Yeah? The sting's taken out the tail of that propaganda as a flat earther. I know it's bullshit. I know there's nothing coming from a sky vacuum. I know we'd all be dead if there was an area of vast, infinite expanding volume with an Oort cloud to project things by way of a heliocentric motion into an orbital trajectory with Earth. We don't have orbits, we don't have a sky vacuum, we don't have a heliocentric sphere Earth. So none of those fear-induced, mind control, propaganda-based movies are ever going to have any effect on me or cause me to lose sleep or cause me to bow down at the altar of Big Daddy government, who's ultimately the person putting this propaganda out.
Well, I might have a good laugh at it for just seeing like how much of an anti-flat earther the main characters are.
They're not. They're pure heliocentric priests. But the heliocentric priests are the downtrodden underdog that you're supposed to be cheering for in the movie. They're not listening to the consensus scientists. Oh my God, if they don't listen to them eventually, we're going to die. They didn't listen and we all died. Yeah, got to listen to your heliocentric priest.
All right, good point.
You
But
get it when you
still,
watch
like the
it.
sentiments, look, the social tricks that they do to get through, that does remind me of anti-flat earthers, because that's what anti-flat earthers are always trying to do. They're always playing on the feelings, right? Because they feel nobody's listening. And that's why I compared it to anti-flat earther, even though the narrative they are wielding is of a glober, of course.
I see what you mean. Comparatively speaking, in the society that we actually find ourselves in, if you want to draw a comparison, that would be the correct comparison, which is to say that even though the scenario is completely flipped, which is to say that with us in the power hierarchy, we're actually Big Daddy government saying, no, you're just wrong, and we don't care what you chant at us. And they're the underdog, downtrodden, anti-flat earthers that no one's listening to. So therefore,
Exactly.
Why would you, as a anti-flat earther, be in a position to be chanting at us, saying, "You need to listen because if you don't believe in the heliocentric model, we're all going to die." And we're going, "Yeah, there's no real danger here. The sky's not a vacuum." And like the president said to the underdog scientist Leonardo DiCaprio character, "Do you have any idea on how many end-of-the-world events have been discussed in this room?" Talking about the Oval Office. In other words, yeah, another quack scientist telling me that the world's going to end. But they didn't listen to this heliocentric purveyor of truth with his maths, and they all died as a result.
Guesswork.
Spoiler
well, no
alert.
one in our field
Wait, what?
uses the so-called scientific method.
Sorry, I should have dropped that in. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the movie. Everybody dies because they didn't listen to the heliocentric pseudoscientists and his mathematical calculations for how something was coming from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. If they'd have only listened to the heliocentric priest, if they'd only have paid attention to his mathematics that don't lie, then they wouldn't have all died.
Wait, are you serious? Like
Yep.
they blow up Earth at the end?
Yep.
Wow. Looking forward to it.
Yep. And they blast off into another planet on a spaceship with only a 57% survival rate on the ship itself. And the Bill Gates style character at the end is like, wow, only a 43% death rate. That's about in line with what we predicted. Wonderful. So like, okay, wonderful. Then they land on the planet and they're like, wow, the oxygen's 12% richer here. Wow, you might feel a little lightheaded. And then all these dinosaurs come and eat them.
Wow.
And the only reason why I didn't see it, but the only reason why that they would actually blow up the world because they didn't listen to scientists is only to play a subconscious psychological warfare on everybody's minds who plays it, to where next time they hear about science and science this, science says this, and if we don't do this, this is what the science says is going to happen. We're going to subconsciously remember that movie, and we're going to, oh shit, we should actually listen to these scientists because remember in that movie subconsciously, they all died, and it could happen to us too. So they're playing a psychological warfare on everybody just with this stupid movie.
Correct. Fear-based mind control. It's the most effective tool they've got. Death cell. It's all your brain's telling you. Don't die and reproduce. Don't get run over by that bus. Make sure you've got enough to eat. Make sure you find a mate. That's what your brain, at the most basic level, is telling you to do all day. When they say stuff that's a bit silly, men think about sex 20 times a second or whatever they claim, whatever stupid figure they give. No, it's just hardwired into your every fibre. Yeah? Don't die, first and foremost. That's what your brain's telling you to do all day, every day. So if something is planted in your mind that says potentially death might follow, your brain says, better pay attention to this. So don't walk in front of the bus, death might follow. So don't ignore the heliocentric scientist, death might follow.
Ooh. That's called doomsaying. They're doomsayers. Because, their story is just not interesting really anymore. And flat earthers and all. So now it's doomsaying time. Ah, how dare you disrespect the globe? If you think the Earth is not a globe, we're all gonna die. Doomsaying.
Well, they literally did that with the movie The Day After Tomorrow.
Yep, same principle. Just global warming as it was labelled back then, rather than
Global
heliocentric.
warming was the game.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said, yeah, global warming was the agenda, so that's what they were pushing.
So you can understand the connections being made by people, and Neil, for example, earlier made the example where he's saying, well, is it as a result of us? Well, you say, well, yes and no. Not as a result of us here right now, just as the entity needing suppression. So therefore, yeah, it's as a result of people needing to know that they're on a sphere and that needing to be told to them often as possible. So yeah, and we're bracing against that. So yeah, you could say it's in opposition to us. Neil.
Sorry.
Shout out to Retro Bill. He says, why is the ISS always seen right side up when observed from both the ground and seen from windows? It's as if in free fall. Why does it never spin or tilt sideways or rotate in any way? Well, that's because they do claim it's in free fall. That's what orbit is, Retro Bill. So thank you very much for the super chat. But yeah, that's what they're going to be describing as an orbital motion that it's taking. So
But they're correcting to keep one side up, right? So they're like constantly giving these micro thrusts to make sure that it doesn't start spinning, that it all stays in the same orientation.
Hold on, that movie killed. That's how all the dinosaurs died. So maybe we should take heed to this movie. Don't Look Up.
Oh, they didn't die. They were alive on a different planet at the end of the movie. So the dinosaur lie bullshit part of it. Obviously, there's a parallel with the impact they claim from 35 or 65 million years ago, and the heliocentric model again. So yes, there's a direct parallel, but also literally dinosaurs come to get them on a different planet.
Also, Erwin, it's not thrusts. There's supposedly gyroscopes that actually manipulate the thing in the Narnia, if you want to say.
Hold on a second. Dinosaurs didn't evolve into birds. They got on a spaceship and got away.
No,
no, they always lived everywhere. They just didn't die out on that planet. See?
I think Arwen's closer to what they're implying.
That's why there's petrified wood from the moon, remember? Because there was life everywhere, and then it just all died or something.
Nah, the only way you're going to find out is we got to get in touch with Chocolate, ask him what type of bed sheets he had as a kid and what type of mobile he had over his crib. Did it have dinosaurs in space or just space?
Dinosaurs in space is something that gets thrown up for my kids every now and again on kids' cartoons. So, yeah, dinosaurs in space. Yeah, that's definitely a crossover they've exploited quite recently.
Really?
Hey,
Yes.
in the 80s, Dino Riders.
There
like
you go.
Cartoon.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Dinosaurs in space with used as living tanks.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, as Rune Thornton did. Massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Fantastic compliment from YouTube in the live stream YouTube chat. He says, fastest hour ever. Couldn't be a better compliment. Thank you very much, YouTube. Did me reading out YouTube's comment kill the conversation completely?
Well, I think everybody was waiting on Neil to get pissed off at his brother-in-law again.
Oh, I see. Is he
Way
destroying?
beyond that.
Is he destroying the show with his mic wide open? Oh, Neil.
No, I was destroying the show, venting of my unexpected guest.
Well, you should be expecting him, right?
Well, that's what pissed me. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So expect that to happen next Christmas as well. Maybe he'll move in next year permanently.
Owen, you're not helping me, Owen. You just made me sweat.
Sorry. But you gotta confront your wife with this. Like, it's wearing on you. You gotta get real, but find a calm moment for it.
Like I said, I don't mind. Anybody can come over Christmas Day. Even if you want to come over and have dinner, it's not a problem. Just don't interfere with my Christmas morning with my children, where you're coming over Christmas Eve, sleeping over, and then freaking staying for who knows how long. It's definitely going to be till next year.
Okay. Obviously, Christmas is a time for families to come together and, you know.
Not sleeping over Christmas Eve. That's not the way I was brought up. Slept in your own house, and then you went, you did all your visiting. Whatever aunt was having Christmas Day, then we'd go there. You know, all sleep over each other's houses. Come on.
Neil, what you're doing is taking your part to help the homeless problem.
Hey, Nathan, the problem is he's not a pleasant guest. Like, I'm sure you would be a pleasant guest. And it'd be like, wow, Nathan's coming over. Great company. It's like you cringe when this guy's coming over because he's never grown up past 17 and he's 40 years old.
I know the type. Okay, well, other than that, does everyone have a lovely Christmas?
Yeah, great.
Took me
Saturday was a bit lonely, but yesterday I had late Christmas dinner with my dad and my mother-in-law. It was awesome. It was
Lovely.
really great. All calm, nobody getting all stressed out about anything, even though we could have like pretty high level conversation. Even Flat Earth came up for a bit, calmly discussed it, the developments. Yeah,
Cool.
it's great.
Very nice. Good to hear. I spent the first Christmas ever here in about 15 years. Every Christmas ever has always been spent at mother-in-law or parents or someone's house, staying over, being a burden to them.
Hey Nathan, I have a question.
Good.
Did you see Where's Wally? His Earth radius, how he measured it?
No, he came on the show and didn't talk to us. So no.
Oh, okay. I was there that day, but I heard you calling his name, telling him to get on the show, and he didn't.
No, he
But
did.
that's what it was in
He did. He
reference
just didn't
to?
talk to us. He started telling the chat
Oh,
how he was
okay.
on the show. Look, there's me on the show. So I was like, normally, but obviously we get people just join here, there, and everywhere, and that's fine. They don't necessarily talk. That's fine also. But then to tell my chat while I'm live, look, I'm on the show, has certain connotations attached. So I'm like, hold on, don't tell my chat you're on the show. Talk to us then. So he ran away. And that was the last we heard. Now, if you're saying he's got videos, of course, that's what these people do.
Who gives a
Right,
crap about his
I was in
videos?
his comments. I was in his comments on his video. Just I had a bunch of Glovers coming after me, but it was all simple stuff.
Fill us in.
Fill us in.
Again, I didn't hear.
Was just saying, fill us in. Tell us what you were getting chastised over, or what they couldn't cope with.
I was just asking him, certain equations that he had in there, how he got them, where they derived from, and then the elevation of the two locations, how he went about with that, and how that would change his angle and everything. It was just a bunch of random things that I was bringing up, and
Random, not at all.
Didn't defend.
You're asking him how he
It's
gets.
not random, but yeah.
Yeah. You're asking him the question then. I see. So in the comments, you're asking him the question: how do you get an elevation angle if you're utilizing a curved adjacent, i.e., a sphere Earth beneath your feet? So not at all random. Excellent. And the response was
a bunch of hoopla from a bunch of Glovers. They were really, I couldn't even keep up with all of them texting all at once. But I didn't get any formal rebuttal from Where's Wally. It was just a bunch of other Glovers asking me other questions that were irrelevant to the question that I asked.
Avoiding the ground, Nathan.
Say again?
They're doing everything in the air. They're not coming down to the ground.
Yeah, it's a shame they've got a ground-based assertion with it being curved Earth and all. That there's their claim. Yeah. Well, maybe actually, if we ignore the ground.
I told him, I said, can you obtain an elevation angle from a curved adjacent? And Wolfie, here's the first comment. Wolfie told me to stop parroting, but he didn't have an actual rebuttal. He just said stop parroting. So, it's kind of left at that.
Bless him. Maybe you could offer a rebuttal, Wolfie.
They lost their extrinsic flat plane, the forced horizontal, as they call it, with the black swan. Everything's intrinsic in their model now. So they're not getting away with that. If they're saying that they're doing everything in the sky, right, which is a 90 from your eye level, they still need a flat plane for that.
They still need an elevation angle. So telling us to stop parroting or giving us a load of fluff about questions we need answering, it doesn't ever get around the fact that they need to measure these angles off a flat surface. They're never going to get around that. So you keep banging that drum and watching Wally ignore you and Wolfie tell you to stop parroting. That's not a rebuttal.
Not at all.
It's more like stop asking the same question over and over again.
Well, I mean, isn't that sort of like the pot calling the kettle black? Because they're parroting, heliocentric priests. They've not made up anything on their own. They've not developed any questions or thought anything out. They're just, hitting some buttons on Wiki to get their answers. And we're the parrots because we're asking a good question.
Well, in this instance, where they're going to go, they're going to go to the books and manuals that we've been utilizing to show how it's done with straight lines. So what are they going to do? They've got nowhere to go. When they get there, they find the exact same diagrams we've been showing them.
Right, because it's based off of their model. Their model has certain geometric maths to it. And of course, that's what they're going to revert to, but they have none of their own actual thinking of their own model. They are the ones who are parroting everything that they're being told.
And when they do, they declare how flat it is. And then when we say, so flat then, they go, no.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I love it. This is the best ever flat earth proof, because even if you're a glober or anti-flat earther, let's make it accurately correct, if you're an anti-flat earther, you're going to do what you do and you go to Wiki, you dig your way through Google and try and find the answer in the heliocentric model, and it just describes what we've described. So then when they go, well, I've looked at it and it's definitely a globe reference, it's got pictures of the globe worked within this description of acquiring your elevation angle and measuring vertices and all the things you do with two straight lines. You know, when it describes that, I understand that, but the book definitely had some spherical reference in it. So I'll just describe it as they described it, and I'll be in the clear. So we take the elevation angle and measure your two straight lines, and that's how you get your angle, and that's all good. You know, obviously you do that because it's all flat and level. Do you understand me, flat earther? I'm a anti-flat earther telling you that you do it with straight lines and, you know, straight line to the horizon and straight flat line and flat baseline. And obviously, at this point, they need to ask me, a flat earther, why anybody would be claiming it's curved. And then when you go, so definitely flat then. Definitely flat, according to you, Mr. Anti-Flat Earther. And their answer, no, 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 no. Share your pain.
If you thought of that, if you thought of that as like a mental virus, would that be the infection, like stopping the antibodies when they go no 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 no?
Which is the infection, the flat Earth reality or the globe poison?
Well, it'd be the globe poison. I would think in this analogy, because that's what's causing them to say no, because they believe they know that it's a sphere.
Yeah, that's pain. I believe I know it's a sphere as I described to you how flat it was when measuring an angle and ask you why it would be curved. Who's even claiming that? Go on, whoever that was in Discord.
Accident button.
Have you seen Don't Look Up, Extremist?
It was an accident to push the talk button. I didn't mean to.
Fair enough. Have you seen Don't Look Up, though?
No.
Then you are useless to me. Be gone.
I've heard that before. From QE a lot.
Any further advancement on curved adjacents, Extremist? Just while I've got you. I won't pass you after this, I promise.
Nope, not any.
Bubba. Locally flat, eh? Oh well, we'll stick with that for now. Thank you for the rebuttals, anti-flat earthers. Locally flat. Straight line to the horizon. Flat under the mountain. That's what we've had so far. Maybe you're right. Maybe this propaganda piece is as a result of us. Who knows?
Well, you know you're in trouble if your response to a question is to throw your, worldview under the bus.
Who's claiming it's curved under the mountain? Who would make such a claim when you've got to measure an angle and that? Horizon for a sextant? Yeah, we just draw a straight line to it. Yeah, straight line to the horizon. Why would we think anything other than there is a straight line to the horizon? These are the things that anti-flat earthers have told us in the response to the curved adjacent and black swan arguments. Combined, they end up telling us how flat it is.
Right, like you had Jose saying it was a refracted line to the horizon in one breath, and in the next saying it's straight.
Yeah, Okumo virus did the same.
Yeah, it's insane to listen to them now. Like, I don't even know how you justify just that blatant a doublespeak.
I mean, back in the day when they had the curve calculator and they could tell us that every image was proving a sphere with the Earth curve edge geometrically blocking stuff, they were in here en masse, shutting us down and muting us from the Google Hangouts on Air server. Now, literally, it's silence. They've got literally nothing. And the odd echo chamber video that's released in this regard affirms how flat it is. They're drawing spheres with flat baselines on top of them, perched on top. and then only referring to that flat baseline when they're actually doing something on the surface, that would be measuring. So you go, well, nothing so far has done anything other than affirm our position. And then strapped on this redundant sphere belief after the fact. Epic. Got nothing, literally, Discord server full of people, no one saying, no, you idiot, the sextant really is a globe tool. I'd just take this curved adjacent and measure my angle.
Well, they're boycotting, remember? This is a boycott because Nathan's so mean.
Yeah, I am. I am mean. This is mean. If you're an anti-flat earther, this is me being mean. Me saying, you can't measure an angle from a curved adjacent. What are you doing? Crazy fools. You tell me how flat it is under the mountain now, or how straight a line it is to the horizon now, or how it's locally flat now. Come on, tell me. That's me being mean. Obviously, like Highlander, he needed to tell me how I'm saying that the hill's doing this, that, and the other, as he's just told me how flat it is. He needs to project him telling me how flat it is as being my argument, and how mean I am with making this argument that he's had to go through and then declare no, like Phil Bell did.
Yeah, they used to tell us that we didn't understand perspective, but they're not saying that anymore.
That reaction, that no is what I want to know what the inner, I kind of think I know what the inner workings of the mind is on that, because I had the same reaction to the black swan. Is the only reason it interests me, but the no lasted a lot longer for me.
In other words, you have the understanding that you've got measured geometry, and then when the measured geometry is debunked, you go, no, because you know that you've got nothing left.
Right, that's what everything was based on in my mind. I was like, I'm measuring Earth curve. That's a measurement of Earth curve. And then you can't just throw that measurement out and keep Earth curve. They do. But they're deranged or something at this point.
Yeah, the physical Earth curve is now refracted. So it's not physically being proven as blocking stuff with its physicality anymore. It's a refracted, non-physical apparent horizon that isn't going to block stuff with geometry. But they used to tell us that we didn't understand geometry, right? Because they've got a geometric claim. Now they haven't got the geometric claim. It's a refracted, non-geometric horizon, and the geometric horizon's the one in the maths that we never see. Because we've only got one, and the one we don't see is the one that's claimed to be Earth curve. And they tell us that. And further to that, they tell us that nobody's claiming the horizon is Earth curve after finding out that it's been debunked. The fact that it stands as Earth curve marked with an X and labelled horizon in their mathematics, they kind of forget that when they're on the anti-flat Earth side in pain, denying the very thing that the globe Earth claims. That'd be a geometric edge to block stuff. You remember that hidden value they all used to pile in with? Now we've got silence and a boycott, apparently. Yeah. No, they've just got nothing. Earth's flat.
Yep. No. It kind of sounds to me like a baller rolling off that hill on his way to becoming an anti-flat earther.
Absolutely.
No.
And with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hitting the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.